Welcome back to the Kidmin Huddle. I am joined by my very best friend, children's ministry expert extraordinaire, Corinne Noble from, what are we calling it? KMC Ministries? Corinne Kidman? What? There was a name change recently, and I
There was a
shamefully don't
name
remember.
change recently. Well, still call it KMC Ministries for short sometimes, but it's Kidmin Corinne Ministries.
Kidmin Corinne Ministries. So kick us
Yeah.
off. Tell us, in case some of our friends don't know who you are or the awesomeness that you do, what does Kidmin Corinne Ministries do exactly?
Well, I do a lot of things because I'm a kids ministry person, and who doesn't, right? So wear a lot of hats, and I create curriculum for elementary and preschoolers that is fun, very biblically deep, and easy to use. Those are our goals. I also have started doing some individual coaching, which I'm excited about, maybe some group coaching launching soon. I love to come in and speak and train as well. And my favorite age group is preteens. So I kind of do a little bit of everything, and I dabble a little bit in set design stuff. So who doesn't love set design?
Mm-hmm. So all the things, basically,
All the things. Yeah.
just
And
all
I'm
the
always releasing like Kidman freebies and whatever suits my fancy that week.
And if you are not following her online, she is killing it on her reels on social media because it's hilarious and true.
Thank you.
Because she has walked the Kidmin walk and she knows what is what.
Yes, I do.
So we
Yes, I
are,
have fun with that.
you especially are already in summer mode because you live in Arizona where it's about 1,000,000 degrees.
The summer. Yes,
So
it's been very hot here.
the rest of us are getting close to summer. We're thinking about summer. You're like a month
Yes,
into it. But we're going to talk
totally.
today about using our summer because we're getting ready to go in. And some people like they check out. Summer was always hard on the weekly attendance for me. Like, there's
Yes.
vacations and there's pools and friends' house and the week to week was hard, but you have events. So summer can be kind of wonky depending on just all of the things. But you've got some tips for us on summer. So, what is one thing to
Yes.
kick us off that we need to remember as we go into summer?
Okay, so I'm kicking off with probably the most controversial one. Maybe gonna ruffle some feathers a little bit, but hear me out. My first one is that I just want people to remember not to neglect their regular weekend services. So I know that neglect is a big word. Nobody wants to neglect them, right? But it just happens, right? I'm not even someone who hasn't done this. I mean, honestly, you get so focused up on those big events. You've got VBS, summer camps, whatever other summer events going
You've
on.
not slept
And
in a
summer's,
week, you're running off pure
yeah.
copy.
I mean, you're maybe pulling like some like really, really long work weeks and you're not getting paid any extra to do it.
Yes.
So I want everyone to hear that I definitely sympathize and I have been there. But the reality is those weekend services just keep coming. And I just think we need to resist the urge to just kind of phone it in or do a party day or like a movie day, like directly
Mm.
after like a big event. And I know that we do that. That's why I said I might ruffle some feathers because we do that because we're tired and we know our volunteers are tired and we just are like done. But the
Mhm.
reality is, like when the event's done, we're not done. The
Mhm.
event, the whole goal of those big events, those VBSs, those camps, whatever summer events you're doing, takeover services, whatever it is, the goal should be to be bringing those kids back into our regular services and connecting them in, plugging those families in. And what we do when we phone it in or we do, just movie nights or whatever we do right after that, I mean, honestly, we just bring a lower level of excellence and quality than we just brought everything at that event. Then we bring a lower level of excellence and quality, and we're just shooting ourselves in the foot. Because I mean, we have to ask ourselves the question: what do we want kids and families to experience when they come back? Because we want them to come back. So when they come back, do we want them to experience like a way lower quality level thing than they just experienced? That's probably not going to keep bringing them back. So as much as I understand how tired and done we all get, especially after like a VBS week, like there's no tired, like VBS tired. We just have to keep bringing the excellence. So those of you who are like, oh, why? Like, why is she putting more on my plate? I did bring some solutions. Do you guys want to hear the
Okay, good.
solutions?
Because that's what I was gonna ask. Because I mean, like, I
Yes.
think
What are the solutions?
the Sunday before and after VBS are some of the hardest. And then if you're doing camp,
Yes.
like for me, I would always bring home COVID after camp. So not only did I run on like 3 hours of
Always sick.
sleep, coffee, and horrible camp food, I then had illness
Yeah.
on top of it from all the germs from the children. So what do we do? Because it's also like, yeah,
Yes.
it doesn't reflect well to parents, but it's also a missed discipleship opportunity. If we're just
Yes.
popping in
Totally.
a movie, they're not listening, they're not growing in their faith, we're not doing
Mm-mm.
all of the things. So, what can we do when we're exhausted and we've got nothing left in us?
I totally get like all of that. So one thing that I started doing, because I noticed like when I first started doing VBS, I had never done VBS before, and I'd actually been in kids ministry for a while. I was like a late to VBS person. My first year doing it, I was like, whoa, like I was not ready. I was not ready for how tired it was going to be, how much work it was going to be.
The
I wasn't
mess
ready
you
for
have to clean.
I wasn't ready for any of it. So I just wasn't prepared. And then it was just like I was dead and everyone was dead. So yeah, so one of the things I started doing, there's two things I started doing that really helped, like especially after a VBS week. I started tying my VBS theming and everything into what I was also doing on my regular weekend services. So I love to do themes and stuff, and a lot of you guys probably do that. So a cool thing is, I mean, even if you're using prepackaged VBS and you're using curriculum, there's tons of curriculum out there. So maybe break away if you need to for the summer. I know a lot of people do, and find a curriculum and a theming and all that complements your VBS, or even write your own for the summer. I mean, branch out. But it really does help, because if you've got like all this decor up for VBS and everything, you could leave it up and it ties right in to your services.
And that's
And
one
also
less
it
thing
just
you have to
creates,
do.
yes, and it's one less thing you have to clean up. And it's like that continuity. So when your guests come back, they're like, oh, it still looks the way it did. And you're tying it back in. So there's just a lot of benefits behind that. The other thing I love to do, if your church will let you, and I know this is a big, like, all church type thing, but I love to do like a family kids takeover service after a
Mhm.
big week of VBS. Again, we're bringing the families together. If guests are returning, we're bringing the whole family together, and we're showcasing what we've just done to the whole church. But it also is just a way to make that next Sunday intentionally better than it normally is, even bringing that excellence level. And again, I know that this is a little bit more work, but it also, a kids takeover service or a family service, may be a little less work on your volunteers, because you're not going to have to open up all of those rooms. Maybe a little bit more work on you, but believe me, completely worth it. Like, amazing if you can talk your church into this. So those are some things that I've done. The other thing I could say is, for like the whole summer, I know a lot of people struggle. Like you're saying, a lot of people are out. Even attendance can be down. Volunteers are out on vacations. And I hear a lot of people saying it's really hard to like staff in the summer. And I totally get that. So I know one thing that some ministries do is they go all large group for the whole summer. So if you normally do large group with your small group breakouts, they just go large group for the whole summer. And I think that normally, yes, small groups, so much value to small groups. But if you're really low on volunteers and you know that your group's already going to be smaller, focusing up on making your large group better than usual, I think is better than having very short staffed small group rooms, or even like putting one person in a room with kids, which is unsafe. So going large group for the whole summer, but then also making sure that you're keeping it very relational and engaging all summer long.
Yeah, which you can totally do. That's basically like
Yeah,
the one room Sunday school, which is honestly,
exactly.
that is the only way I've taught. That's how my church was growing. I am super
Exactly.
small church. So that was the way my church was growing up. Both churches that I was employed at, that's how I taught. And
Yeah.
you can still do it. You can still move around the room and you can use some teens and have them. All right, you guys are in that corner. So you've got the safety
Yes.
issue under control because you're properly staffed all together. Put them in different, I would use yoga mats and cut them up, and those are
Yep.
slots, or I would have group signs. You're in that corner, you're in that corner. You
Yep.
can totally
Or
do
big
it.
rugs. I've used like big rugs
Hmm.
where you just roll them up and then you just
Hmm.
roll them out and
And then the
and it's great.
preschoolers like roll themselves up in it like a burrito
Oh, well, maybe
instead of
not
the,
that.
oh, you didn't have that? Oh, I had that like every
maybe,
time.
maybe not that.
So I
Oh,
love the family VBS. This is what I had shifted to, partially because the church that I was at, the pastor hated VBS Sunday. And I'm like, that's okay,
hmm,
I'll do it. So he would literally not be
right.
there. It was awesome.
Oh,
But my reason
interesting.
for it's great. My reason for doing this was because I wanted the adults in the church, the ones who are paying their tithes that fund VBS. I wanted them to see the why of what we do because sometimes,
Yes.
we get that bad rap for, well, it's just fun, especially when your, 37-year-old leader is running around in, mismatched knee socks and a tutu and a cape with purple hair.
Yeah.
They're like, well, what's the point of this? So when you do VBS Sunday, when you're showcasing, it is that, hey, volunteers,
Yes.
come back, sing the song, say the verses, let your kid be part of this, wear your shirt. But then you're getting to show the meat of what happened in VBS.
Yes.
And so
It's a
for me this
huge
last
win.
year, yeah, this was my nobody knew, but that was the Sunday, my last Sunday at that church. And I had the whole service. I turned in my resignation the next day and they're like, don't come back. But it was like mic drop worthy that last service. We did everything. So I'm like, no, no. I made the bulletins, made them different, made them kid friendly. I did, the
Love it.
worship. And you can get creative with your size of church. Like we wouldn't have enough kids to come and sing because they
Yeah.
would not come to sing. So I'm like, all right, we're going to start
Yeah.
reciting our scripture that we memorized. And I involved my two kids in things to help with object lessons. It was
Yes.
great. You can do it. I highly recommend that. And it takes the pressure off you having to craft another lesson or prep or all those things. Could you just add that part in with your VBS
Yes.
planning? So good.
Yes. Oh my goodness. I could do a whole podcast on just doing that like takeover service that you're talking about. It was a huge win for us every single year. And I mean, I won't talk on this anymore because we've got like two more points, but I do have to say that I did come in an all pink superhero costume because one of my costume characters is Scripture Chick. Been doing it since I was like 14 years old. And I still fit in the costume. I just want to clarify.
That's impressive.
Because I'm a very small person, but people love that. Like I mean, and I
The
came out and
grown-up,
taught the
the
verse that the kids
grown-ups
learned at
get into
VBS
it.
to the adults. I'm telling you, like that service, man, we could do a whole
It's
podcast
it is so
people doing that.
we think grown-ups want this, whatever, the traditional service, the sit, stand, sing, preach,
Yep.
and sit. Honestly, I make them play
They
games
love to have
anytime I'm
fun.
up there. I make them play games and they're into it. And I've
Yeah.
thrown things out and I will pass out candy and coloring sheets and they're like, "Yep." I've had
Oh
them
yeah.
ask the kids, like, where do you get the coloring sheet? I want one, like they have fun with your adults.
Yes.
Just have fun. Play games, wear the costume,
Yes.
do the silly. I make them do the motions. It's great.
Oh yeah.
They'll ask for
Totally.
it next year.
And in those services, I'll take them from like playing a game, laughing at me in a crazy pink costume to like crying over like the
Yeah.
testimonials like at the end. So I mean, you got
And it
all the
shows
emotions
what's
going.
really happening in children's ministry because
Yes.
I know
We don't get
and
that
you speak on it.
opportunity very
Yeah.
often.
We can have
Yeah.
fun with the depth. So do that
Yeah.
for sure. All right. Another hard area in
Yes.
summer, it's a good segue,
It could
is
really go.
the issue of follow up. We are having events. You've
Mhm.
got VBS. Maybe you're doing like a block party or all these things, a park date. How do
Yeah.
you take those visitors whose hopefully names, phone numbers, email address, some sort of contact information you've captured? How are you taking that? If not, you need to be capturing
First
this
step.
in
First
some way.
step.
How are you taking that and maybe turning it into a possible second visit to your church? What does our follow-up
Yeah.
plan need to look like?
Yeah, so that was definitely a mistake I made early on was like
We all did.
missing like planning ahead for that. Like I thought like I can worry about follow-up after the event and especially if you're talking about like something crazy like BBS, there there's nothing left to give after the event really. I mean, especially if you're given that all to that next weekend service, like if you haven't planned for follow-up, it's just not gonna happen. You're gonna be like, you know what, not this week, but next week I'll take care of it. And then
And
you
it's like a
never
month
send those
later and it's
follow-up
too
cards.
late and awkward.
Exactly. That definitely has happened to me before. So if that's been something that's happened to other people, don't feel bad. But this is the year we're not going to do that. So, as you were saying, we've got to get that info. I mean, nowadays, I feel like if you can get it digitally right away, like you've got someone inputting it in digitally right away, that's going to make it even easier for you to communicate with people because yeah, I love to send like a physical card because people love to get physical mail nowadays. I mean, they just don't get very much mail anymore. So if you can send like some more personalized physical mail to these kids and families, I think that actually is extremely effective right now because it's not as overwhelming as like I feel like people don't even care about emails,
Oh, they
but
don't. I've had parents tell me they're like, I love you, but I'm not going to read
nobody reads them.
anything. Yeah, I'm not going to read it because I get
Email
7
has
million from
become
school.
email has almost become like the physical mail of the past, and now people are excited to get something in the physical mail that isn't just bills or
It's
like
bills, yeah.
junk, right?
So yeah, I'm
So
going to pause
I
you
do
and
think
yes, Happy Mail is a thing. If you go to my
yes,
website, I have postcard packs. Most of your VBS suppliers, they're going to come with
yes,
postcards, spend the like $5 and buy the packs. I have Happy Mail
yes,
stamps and special glittery markers and all of that.
yes, you
You can
do.
design stuff on Canva.
It's so fun.
I may send a bunch of glitter in my envelopes, and when
Yes,
unsuspecting
you do.
husbands open their friend's mail, there's then a pile of glitter and confetti in their
Maybe
house.
don't send glitter to your guests' families in their
I
envelope.
will
I don't
agree to
know.
disagree. We'll agree to disagree. But yes, postcards, happy mail, it's fun, it's exciting.
Yes.
You can use that. Yes.
And I have a freebie that I know was like super popular. I've done this for Easter as well as for VBS that I created in Canva that I can share with everyone. I don't know how we're going to share things with people, but I can share this with everybody. It's a VBS coloring follow-up card.
Mm,
So it's fun because it has basically the kids can color it
yeah.
and then they can bring it back. And when they bring it back, they get a prize. So it's fun, it's interactive, it's personalized by doing that. And then also it gets them to come back. So that's one that I have, and it's free. It's not. I'm not even going to charge you for it. So yes, I think Happy Mail is definitely one of the best ways. But if you collect it digitally, you can also like email them, text them. I think texting is more effective, and you can make that more personalized. And I know you're thinking, well, what if I have like 100 guests? Well, that's where you like assemble a team ahead of time. So not
Yeah.
only do you plan what you're gonna, how you're gonna follow up, you get those cards printed, you figure out how to digitally capture people's information, whatever you want to do. But also, I would assemble a follow up team. Like,
Mhm.
honestly, if you've got 100 people to follow up with, then find 10 volunteers who are willing to follow up with 10 people,
Which is a
however it
great
is,
job for some
to
of
fill
your
out
less
those postcards.
mobile volunteers.
Yes,
Those
you're
those older
older.
men and women who want to help but just can't go run
Yes,
at recreation. Great job for them.
exactly. Those older people would love to send to even like handwrite and
Mhm.
send out some postcards for you. So 10 volunteers, 10 10 cards each. That's what I've done in the past. And then it becomes no longer overwhelming.
Yeah.
So those are my thoughts on that. And I do have like also outside of like BBS, talking about like summer camp. A lot of people go to kids camp. Not so much on the follow-up, but just on processing that. And a lot of kids will make the decision to follow Jesus at camp.
Mhm.
I have a freebie that's camp decision cards where you can capture that information and you can follow up with those kids and continue that discipleship journey, follow up with their parents. Um, I even have a couple printables that are like my summer memories and my camp experience printables. So again, we're like not just stopping at the event, but we're
Mhm.
continuing that conversation and also putting a nice bow on those memories that the kids made for them and also for us. So
Yeah.
those are also some cool things that you can do to make it more than just an event and make it a continuation, which I think is our goal. Like we can get so like BBS summer camp, but like
But then
what's
what?
next? We have to
Yeah.
always be thinking about what's next and helping people to get there.
Yeah. And I love that you're mentioning the twofold follow-up part is that one, for new visitors, we want you to come and hang out at our church because if you're working there, hopefully you think it's awesome. But then two, what
Yeah.
about in the lives of those kids? So camp, yeah, it's a
Yeah.
decision-making time. It's something about that immersed experience. They hear the same thing that they've been hearing for years, but it's in a different way and they make decisions. But even if they didn't make a decision, that's still that what's God doing in their hearts? You might not have a clue. So follow up. I would always do handwritten notes to all the kids, like really
Love
in
it.
depth, like every kid that went to camp, like I love this time that we
Mm.
did together and this was happening. It's a great thing that while you're doing it, pray over it because God's still working in them. Again, get your
Yes.
volunteers to do it. Love it, love it. So basically, your best follow-up plan is to have any plan because anything is better than
Yes.
scrambling to do nothing.
Yes. If you have no plan, I can guarantee you at the end of these events, you are going to be so tired, you will just push it off and you will never
Mhm,
do it, because I
mhm.
have
Yeah.
completely done that.
Yeah. And I think as the longer you go through, you kind of systematize your plan. I
Yes.
I have a database for VBS people and I have it the way that I need and I know how to go and print my address labels in a certain way. I always mess it up once, but then I figure out how to do like to you can do it
Yes.
in Word and inputting them in there and all the fields and all the thing. And so literally I just update the back of my VBS card every year because I know
Yes.
it's the same information. I keep the file, I update it. So you're going to systematize it, you're going to make it easy peasy, second hat, but it's still an important step even if you've done it for 27 million years. You got to follow up.
Yes. And it becomes easier every year. You get organized, you duplicate things, you just update it.
Yeah.
It makes it easier.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So another summer struggle, you mentioned it before, can be volunteers. They are also enjoying pool time, vacation time. Some
Oh,
of them
yes.
are burned out. So what can we do in summer to
Yes.
to love on our volunteers? Make
Oh
sure we still
man.
have some by fall.
Speaking of volunteers, I'm missing 2 Sundays in July myself, and I'm a volunteer now. And I'm like, so I blocked it out early and told my kids faster, but I'm like, you're gonna need to move me to the other weeks because I'm gonna be gone my normal 2 Sundays. So even I am like that. So yes, I think volunteers, we actually do pull on them a lot extra in the summer as well, the ones who are around. So I think it's so important. That last one is like, just don't forget to appreciate and encourage your volunteers in all the busyness. And I know some of you may be very, very good at that because you're like an encourager and like this is a natural gift for you, but not everybody is that way.
Mhm.
So I know for me, when I was early on in kids ministry, I don't think that was something that came as naturally for me. I'm much more of like a busy doer, go, 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 and then forget, oh yeah, people are involved. This isn't just tasks. Like
Mhm.
these are people and they're not being paid to be here. Like they're just being here because they love the ministry, love kids, they just want to serve. So I think we have to remember what I just said. Most of them are not being paid. They're giving extra time, energy. A lot of them are probably even giving donations,
They're
resources.
buying things out of
I
their
mean,
own checking account.
they're buying stuff at Dollar Tree and bringing it. I mean, I know I've had volunteers like this. So I think we have to remember that this is the time to up the appreciation and the encouragement if there was ever a time to do this. So I have some ideas for that. This doesn't have to be big or expensive. Like I know everybody's budgets, can be a little
Keep getting
tight and
smaller.
stretched. But you know what? I actually started putting this even in the budget for like VBS and camp. Like I put in the budget some volunteer appreciation gift cards and gifts and things into my VBS budget. That's something you could do maybe next year. This year,
Mhm.
probably a little late. You haven't put it in the budget, but put it in the budget. Put it in the budget for summer camp. Like I just recently shared an idea to create these like survival leader kits for camp that I started creating for my leaders just to encourage them, give them extra snacks, give them stuff that they would need, put it in the camp budget. So those are things that you can do, but it doesn't even have to cost a lot of money. You can literally just look out for those volunteers who are giving extra time, doing something a little extra, and just encourage them and call things out in them. That goes a long
Say
ways.
thank
Doesn't
you.
cost anything. It goes a long way. Just saying, like, wow, thank you for showing up. I'm seeing how much value you're bringing to this event. We couldn't do it without you. Make it as personal as you can make it. Like, don't just like get up on the microphone and be like, hey, thanks everyone for
Will
showing
all
up.
of our volunteers
Talk to
please stand
people
up?
individually. Yes. See, anytime it's a mass communication, it's never that effective. But go to people individually and call things out in them and encourage them. Cost you absolutely nothing. Um, Also ask them what if they need anything. Ask them if they're tired. Ask them if they don't like what they're doing. Those little things go a long ways. Ask for their input. Make them feel like they're a part of it. All of that costs you absolutely no money. Asks you to be a little bit more intentional if you're not naturally this way. But who doesn't love a good extra coffee or lunch? So something I always did was when those volunteers would show up, and those volunteers, they would show up in the middle of the week and they're helping make set design items and they're helping assemble crafts and they're, putting in work, they're filling out those postcards I was talking about. When they come and do that, buy them their coffee that morning, buy them lunch, bring in lunch for the whole group if a whole group of people have come in. And again, budget for this in the future. If right now you don't have that in the budget, I paid for this stuff out of my own pocket sometimes because again, those people are volunteers and they're showing up
You're
extra
making your life
and I
easier.
want them to know. I want them to know that I love them. So buy them coffee, buy them lunch, send them a $5 or $10 Starbucks gift card tomorrow, in the email or text. Just a little thing. And you can do appreciation for everybody, but just try to make it personal. And just so you know, I do have a new freebie that's coming out this week that is going to make that super easy. It's a My Favorite Things volunteer printable. Hand it out to your volunteers and get their favorite candy, their favorite food, their favorite store, their favorite coffee, all of that stuff. And then you can easily personalize those mass gifts that you do. So if you want to do a candy bar for everybody, you can give everybody their favorite candy bar. So personalized doesn't have to mean more money. It just takes a little bit more intentionality, but I think it always makes it more impactful and it just makes it more personal. Who doesn't love something personal?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm a big fan of the really cheesy volunteer sayings.
Oh, yes. And I
One
have
year,
several of those freebies as well.
one year for VBS, I got watermelon gum and made the little tag that
Yeah.
said, "You're one in a melon."
Yes. I think they're so cute.
I love it. But
I mean,
then I
and who
go and
doesn't
I
love
hand
it?
them to them. I hand the
Mhm.
cheesy under $1 thing. When you're dealing with VBS
Exactly.
volunteers, you're looking at 50, 100, 150, 200, that adds up. So I
It
think that's
does.
the volunteer like token of thanks can be a cheaper thing, can be cheesy
Exactly.
but it's the, hey, I'm handing it to you. Thank you so much. You rocked it in the preschool room. You were amazing. But yeah,
Exactly.
those little touches. And then that creates that good, healthy environment. It has them wanting to come back and serve back. And then I think we also need to appreciate on the front end. And you were talking about like making sure that they have all their stuff. We are so bad in the Kidmin world, I think, of training, especially when it comes to volunteer,
Yes.
because we're so desperate to have the
Hmm.
ratios and the numbers and all of the spots filled that we're just kind of like, oh, awesome
Yes.
person. Here's your stuff. Here's your room. You're good to go. And we are so used to it. We know our VBS schedule and our flow and how things work, but our volunteers don't. So they will feel appreciated when you have taken the time to properly train
Yes.
them, which then
Oh,
in
great
part,
point.
you're training them, you're thanking them, you're showing them little tokens of appreciation. That makes them want to come back and do it again because that's
Yes. And
what we want.
I've now been on both sides of things where like I've been the kids pastor for many years and now I'm choosing to just be a volunteer at my church. And there's things where I'm like, wow, I did this to my volunteers. And now I'm like, wow, I wasn't seeing it. Honestly, we don't always see from the perspective of the volunteer. We see from our perspective when we get in our little like laser focus of being the kids director or the kids pastor. And we have so many things that we're thinking about, and we're not thinking about the things that our volunteers are thinking about. And you're correct. Like, there's nothing worse than showing up as a volunteer and not having any clue what I'm supposed to be doing. And then like trying to like I mean, you know how it is at VBS time. You're
It's
trying to get the
crazy.
attention of the leader, and like 50 other people are also trying to get their attention if they haven't received that training. So it's like I don't know what I'm doing, and I can't even talk to the kids pastor about it because they're too busy and too stressed. So now I just kind of don't know what I'm supposed to do. So yes, training goes a long ways. And since you brought that up, I think now more than ever we have to consider multiple options of
Mhm.
training them live, but also we all know how hard it is to get everybody there live. Also offer like a secondary like Zoom training or a recorded training that you can send out as well. So that's kind of a
Plus
newer
written
thing,
instructions, plus the 5-minute huddles,
plus the written instructions.
plus.
I created a one sheet like guideline type sheet for each different
Mhm.
role in VBS. And even if they didn't come to training, if they just read that first sheet, I put it in the front of each of their packets. They
Yeah.
read that first sheet, they would pretty much know everything that they needed to know. So, yes, all the different ways the video, the sheet, the training, the text messages, the
Carrier
emails do it
pigeon, all of it.
all of it. Just send them some mail while you're at it.
There you go. Happy Mail with VBS instructions.
Might not be a bad idea, actually. Well,
One
you
of
know, you have
one
so
of
much extra time, you know.
right, right. One of my biggest shortcomings when on VBS was prep day. That Sunday
Mm,
after church where there are a million things going on, and
yes.
I don't delegate so well. I know exactly
Oh
what
my
needs to be
goodness.
done. I have the plan.
Yes.
I know where everything's supposed to get put up, how it's supposed to work.
Yep.
But I could not ever well express this to everyone. So people literally couldn't find me. My last church was a very weird setup and it was built in different sections. So literally like you would have to go downstairs before you could go upstairs. So I'm like, I'm running. I change clothes as soon as it's over. I may or may not be wearing
Oh
shoes at
yes.
this point. I'm running around. I've got like one of the teens are waiting for pizza to get there for lunch. And
Oh
and literally someone would stop me and be like, we've been looking for you for 20 minutes. I'm like, I've
Oh,
been right
yes.
here. So
This
making
sounds
sure
like
that
me the first couple of years of BBS, and
it's like
I
20
actually have
years
some
for
I
me.
have some good solutions for that actually. I started appointing two heads that were not me to help on that specific day because I was exactly the same way,
Yeah.
like running around with a chicken with my head cut off, like a chicken with my head cut off, the only person who knew all the details of everything needed to be done. And then nobody could find me because I would inevitably end up in a room like
Because
taping something
you
to a
don't
wall
stand
or
still. You
something.
just do the things.
No, I'm just doing all the things. And the last church I was at, you're saying like it was so hard to find people. It was literally like a round robin type thing. So people would literally be going around in circles looking for people, and you would be like going the opposite way, and like
Yeah.
you never find people. So,
Yeah.
anyways, I did start appointing like a head of each hallway because there were like two main hallways, and this person's the lead on this hallway, and they know everything that needs to be done over here. And this person's the lead on this hallway, and they know everything that needs to be done there. I also started organizing everything by room. Like
Hmm.
this is your stuff. And
Yeah.
I also started making the leads of those rooms. They were like the Devo lead, the game leader, the you know whatever it is. I'm like what were my things? DIY leader, the snack activity leader. They had to own their room, so they had to be there on decor day, and they were in charge of their room. And most of the time, they came before then, and they were helping create the set stuff for that room because they had ownership over it. So they knew what stuff they had, and they already had a vision for it. So this was after a couple of years of completely floundering and running around, like you're talking about. That helped so much. Still chaotic, still crazy, even with all of that organization. But all of that helped so much. Definitely do not make it where you are the only person who knows what needs to be done in all of your spaces at these events.
Yeah. And be as organized as possible because it
Yes.
speaks to your volunteers. It shows them, okay, I'm actually needed because if they're just standing around without a task, they're not coming back next year. So as organized
Oh,
as you
yes.
can
Then you
get.
end up with like six people actually doing something when you really needed all like 30 of them to
Hmm.
do something that they left
Yeah.
because they didn't get a job fast enough.
Yeah. I would also over plan on my work days because I would underestimate the amount that they could get done. And they're like done. And I'm like, I'm out of tasks for you to do. So then from then on, I would always make sure I had more tasks because what if more people show up or they work really
That's
fast, have
good.
so much because again, you want your
Yes.
volunteers to feel needed, to feel useful. This
And
this ties right into appreciation. They need to feel like
yes,
they're
and
doing a good
tasks
job.
for kids too, because people will stay with their kids. So I love to have like little
Yeah.
tasks for the kids to do so that they can help and be a part of it. The other thing I did was I created a list for each space. Each room had a decor list because in those first couple of years, not only was I running around like a chicken with my head cut off, but people were using like the wrong kind of tape on the wall
And
and
that's just not okay in churches.
pulling the paint
That's
off
ooh, yeah.
of the wall because they put duct tape on the wall because you just think people should know not to put duct tape on the wall,
Never
but
use
they
duct tape.
don't. So literally there'd be like a bucket of these are the only supplies you're allowed to use in this room, and here's your list of exactly what you're going to do down to exactly which type of tape to use. Now that sounds kind of crazy, but this comes from personal experience of drywall being ripped off of the wall
Mhm.
because people used the
Mhm.
wrong tape on the
Yeah.
wall.
Now I'm gonna ask because I have a favorite tape. What's your favorite tape?
Okay, so it definitely varies. I have so many tapes that I love, but my favorite tape. It's expensive to use on the walls, and like anything that does not rip any paint off is gaff tape. Good quality
Mm.
gaff tape. It holds anything. Now, if you've
Good
got
for
smaller
carpets,
things,
doesn't leave a residue.
yes, but it's very expensive. And buy it in bulk and make sure you get a good one. But if it's not as heavy of a thing, I'm not going to go for something that expensive. I do love Marvelous tape. I mean, and even like just regular craft tape is fine as long as it's a very lightweight item. But like if it's going to be something with some weight to it, like poster board that needs to stay up all week long, that's like a big piece of poster board,
Mhm.
I'm going to go gaff tape probably. What about you?
Marvelous tape is mine. Yeah. My
Yeah.
first church, we were only allowed to use blue painter's tape,
Oh, the
which
worst.
holds nothing,
Nothing.
like
Literally nothing.
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 It just falls off on its
The
own, and it was
the
horrible. And then the pastor's wife,
worst.
she was a teacher. She's like, "Have you tried this?" And that was life changing for me. And then
Yes,
it's
Marvelous tape is
think
amazing.
marvelous, but without the R. And you can get it
Yeah,
in colors.
AU.
Yeah, and I would train my teens. They overuse tape, and I'm like, no, 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 no. You just need a little bit. So that's
Yeah,
what
you
you all are
don't need
getting
a
out of
lot of
this
it.
podcast. Go order some gaff tape or some Marvelous tape because it
Yep.
will. It's life changing. Just gonna say it's life
Yes.
changing.
Yes, and you can use gaff tape on the floor and it's just a lot stronger than Marvelous tape. So if you're like attaching things to the floor or like even a lot heavier things like maybe felt or something like that, go for gaff. Go
Hmm.
for gaff.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yep.
So what is, as we kind of wrap up, there's a lot of opportunity in summer. We've got conversations and time with kids that we wouldn't normally get. The discipleship opportunity of a VBS week or camp week, that's more hours sometimes than we get all year. We've got relationship
Yes.
building with kids, with parents, with volunteers. We have all of this stuff. So what would be your one tip, like your best tip on how to best use summer?
Man, you didn't prepare me for that
I
question,
didn't, but I don't like
but
to prepare people. I want their
it's
raw
fine.
first thing in your head.
The best tip. Sorry, what was the question again?
She's stalling. Your best tip for using your summer. It could
For
be
using your summer.
relationally, discipleship, anything, but the best thing that we need to be doing to really use this summer and not waste it.
I mean, I think I feel like I've already said this, but I'm gonna go ahead and say it again. Look for ways to continue anything, continue the conversation, continue the theming, continue the discipleship, whatever it is. Like we just need to not be event focused,
Mhm.
but long term focused. Like what we need to ask that question of ourselves. What what am I going to do to plug people in after VBS? What am I going to do to continue discipleship in this kid who made this decision to follow Jesus at camp? Like that should always be our question, not like I know for me, I would get into this place where I would be like, oh, camp is over. I'm done.
What's next? What do I
Oh,
have to do next?
VBS is over. I'm done. But really we have to think what's next. We're always thinking what's next. How are we going to make this a long-term impact with this
Mhm.
person and this family, not just we did the event, we put a
Yeah,
bow on it, we're done, moving
yeah,
on to the next thing. So I think that's the best thing that we can do with anything that we're doing is what's next. How am I going to continue this in that kid's life?
that's good. And not just hopping from item to item, event to event in summer, which let's
Yes.
be honest, we kind of do. I know my schedule would be camp in June, VBS in July, and then when that was over, I'm like, oh good, I can finally have summer and I can spend time with my kids again. I can see them again. We
Yes.
go from thing to thing when really this is just those are little blips in the
Yes. And
whole journey.
if we could make everything more of a continuation, more continuity, instead of seeing them
Mhm.
all as like
Yep.
little islands, how can we connect them together better? That's something that I started doing. It makes it easier on you. It just ties everything together. It makes you look more intentional and it just makes everything work together. And it always has like a what's next? What am I inviting to people to next? What am I bringing the kids back in for next?
Mhm.
Always what's next.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, so if you all are still working on your summer details, you now have a few more things to add to your to-do list. Most importantly, we just want to encourage you to be intentional. Summer is
Yeah.
not a time to check out or hit the easy button, because again, it's more
Mm-mm.
opportunity than you have. You have kids who will come for the first time with a friend. You have kids that will come just for the fun when they're not coming on midweek. You have so many opportunities. So do not check out. Do not waste this summer. Give it your all, being very intentional to do all of the things. So, Corinne, thanks for hanging out with us today. Where can our
Yes.
friends find you and find out more about you?
Well, you can go to kidmincorinne.com, and Corinne is spelled Corinne. Annoying, hard name to spell. But kidmincorinne.com is going to actually reroute you to kmcministries.com because I am still working on my new website, which hopefully will be done in the next couple months, making good progress. You can also go to kmccurriculum.com, and that's where all of my curriculum is. I'll take you right there. And definitely go find me on Instagram. I'm Kidmin Corinne on Instagram. And like she was saying, I share a lot of like funny, relatable reels. I also do teaching stuff. I share all my freebies on there. I do sales, all kinds of stuff all the time. So
Yes.
definitely go follow me on there. And I would love to connect with people. And I'm KMC Ministries on Facebook as well.
All right, so go hang out with Corinne, check out her site, follow her online. She's got all of the awesome stuff, and go make your summer count. And the way that we always close out this podcast, remember, Kidmin leaders, what you do matters.